After passionately writing 10,000 words of fanfiction about Gu Yanchuan and myself, I happily hit post. Forgot to switch to my alt account. Not only was I exposed as the author of the fanfic, but it was also uncovered that I'm Gu Yanchuan's top spending fan. When Gu Yanchuan found out, he denied everything in 3 sentences. Don't know her. Never heard of her. The ship you're all obsessed with is fake. My vision went black. I almost kicked the bucket at 26. A month ago, Gu Yanchuan and I met as guest stars on a highly popular reality show. There was one scene in particular. Still half asleep, I passed by the kitchen and accidentally startled a fish that was destined for our lunch table. Terrified, I screamed at the top of my lungs, my face pale with fright. Gu Yanchuan, who happened to be passing by, stepped in like a hero. He grabbed a knife and knocked the offending fish out cold with the back of it. What's with the screaming? Still shaken, I blurted out without thinking, "You don't like it when I scream." He even personally instructed the director on set, "Make sure to cut that part out before it airs." But in the end, the director only cut out that one line, kindly leaving in the heroic fish-slapping moment. After the clip aired, netizens went wild. I'm shipping them so hard. Who wouldn't love a ditzy beauty and an aloof superstar? Was Gu Yanchuan slapping a fish? No, he was slapping Lin Siyao's heart. Jumping on the Yanniao ship is totally worth it. Someone made an edit of them on Bilibili. I always thought they'd be perfect together, but the ship was so niche. Finally, people are noticing them. Someone please cast them in a drama as the ditzy beauty and the cold, aloof superstar. I'd pay to watch that. But what surprised everyone even more was that Yuming Yanchuan, one of Gu Yanchuan's top spending fans, was also shipping Yanniao, and even went so far as to write fanfiction about them. Yes, that top spending fan was me. On the day it all went down, I first saw Gu Yanchuan's interview. The man who usually answers questions in 3 words or less actually spoke 3 whole sentences in response to this one. "Mr. Gu, your ship with Lin Siyao has been trending lately, and there's even a fanfic about the 2 of you that went viral. Have you seen it?" And then he added one final blow. "The ship you re all obsessed with is fake." Wow. A deadly triple denial. A ship this popular, if it were anyone else, they'd be over the moon. Gu Yanchuan's solo fans were celebrating like it was New Year's. Yanniao shippers felt like the sky had fallen. Starting today, I probably won't even get to see those analysis videos, fan art, or fanfics about Gu Yanchuan and me anymore. Damn it. One of the fanfic writers was supposed to get to the steamy part tonight. Gu Yanchuan, give back my dream material. Guess I'll have to rely on myself. So that day, to express my unwavering commitment to the Yanniao ship, I decided to drop a major update. A full 10,000 words I wrote from afternoon until midnight. Finally finished, and I happily hit post. Yep, perfect. Posted it on the wrong account. After posting, I passed out, my phone on silent. By the time my manager discovered it and tried to log into my Weibo to delete it, the fanfic had already been reposted over 100,000 times. The internet exploded. Expensive trending topics? Gu Yanchuan and I occupied the top 10. This time it wasn't just the fans. Even casual onlookers were eating it up. What? The first 7 chapters were posted on the account of Gu Yanchuan's top fan, Yuming Yanchuan. An A-list actress is actually Gu Yanchuan's top fan, and a big spender who bulk buys his endorsements at that. Stop saying an A-list actress. It's Lin Siyao. Lin Siyao herself. Damn, that's wild. My vision went black. My manager, Kiao, stood at my door and started clapping. Bravo. I never knew you were so talented. The fanfic was pretty good. My scalp went numb. You're too kind. The next day, at 7 a.m., before the chickens at the reality show set were even awake, Gu Yanchuan and I were both summoned to the company office by our boss. Gu Yanchuan stormed in, pausing as he passed by me, his tone dripping with sarcasm. Fanfic writer? Top spending fan? I timidly raised my hand. That would be me. Hey. Gu Yanchuan sat down, crossed his legs, and looked like he was ready to commit murder. What's done is done, and honestly, there wasn't much outright negativity. Manager Lin looked at us with a smile. Since we're already here, we thought, How about the two of you become a contract couple? Sounds great. That was my voice. In your dreams. That was Gu Yanchuan's. He shot a glare my way. I quietly shrank back. I don't need that kind of exposure right now. His voice was ice cold. It made my heart sink straight to the Arctic. Manager Lin quickly nodded and got to the point. From yesterday to today, we've had 3 brands, 1 magazine, 2 variety shows, and 1 TV drama reach out, all specifically requesting both of you. Of course, the boss's negotiation tactic. Start with an outrageous request to raise your tolerance level, then follow up with a slightly more reasonable one. Makes it harder to refuse. But clearly, Gu Yanchuan had no problem refusing. Impossible. I will not collaborate with Lin Siyao in any way. My hand, which had been playing with my hair, froze. Back in the day, Gu Yanchuan would have downed a table full of hard liquor until his stomach bled just for a work opportunity. He wouldn't have blinked at the idea of working with an ex. Hell, I bet if you'd offered him enough money to jump off a building, he wouldn't have hesitated. But now he had enough clout. No one could make him do something he didn't want to do. Manager Lin glanced at me, trying one last push. Don't turn down good money. Yao's clearly on board. Just think of it as. Forget it. I placed my hands on the table, overwhelmed by a wave of disappointment. It was me who bought the endorsements, shipped the CP, wrote the fanfic. It was me who posted from the wrong account. I'll just issue a statement saying I've been a fan. I paused, rephrasing. I've been a fan of Gu Yanchuan for a long time. The PR budget for taking down the hashtags and issuing statements can come directly from my account. No need to burden the company. That's it. Gu Yanchuan looked at me, said nothing, and simply stood up and left. Manager Lin sighed. Suddenly I missed the boy whose eyes used to only see me. 8 years ago, I was 18 and got into the acting program at drama school. Other people's dads. Actually, I'm a secret billionaire. Here are 10 apartments in the city center. Type 1, to transfer them to your name. My dad. My business failed, so I'm taking off. There's still 2 million in debt left. You and your mum figure it out. I had just gotten into college and was happily hanging out with friends when I turned around to find my home gone. All that remained was my weeping mother and a mountain of debt. My mum was a beautiful but utterly useless person who'd never worked a day in her life. To escape the debt collector's harassment, I moved her to a cheap, cramped 1-bedroom apartment on the outskirts of the city and worked 6 different part-time jobs that summer. College life, when it started, was nothing like I'd imagined. While my classmates worried about how hard it was to get their hands on a certain designer bag, I worried about how hard it was to just get by. While they wished winter would stay away so they could keep wearing their cute skirts a little longer, I prayed for winter to come sooner so I wouldn't be drenched in sweat, on the verge of collapse, inside a heavy mascot costume. That's when I met Gu Yanchuan. What caught my attention wasn't his ridiculously handsome face, but the fact that in this entire department, there was someone else who was just as dirt poor as I was. In the second semester of my freshman year, I noticed Gu Yanchuan was always looking at me. From the diagonal corner of the classroom, across crowded cafeteria lines, through the windows of several dance studios, I logically concluded he had a crush on me. Finally, when he caught up to me, slightly out of breath, I said with utmost seriousness, "Listen, I've noticed you staring. You're cute and all, but I'm broke. You're broke. Poverty-stricken couples face endless sorrow. It wouldn't work." Gu Yanchuan was stunned, his chest still rising and falling from the short run. He asked, "You're Lin Siyao, right?" I nodded. "Yeah." Gu Yanchuan couldn't help but laugh, holding something out. "You lost your ID card at the Comic-Con you worked at last week. I found it. Been trying to give it back." I was speechless. I had already applied for a replacement ID. Never thought I'd lost it at the con. Then, why didn't you give it to me sooner? Gu Yanchuan laughed. "Because you're always running off too fast." I snatched the ID card. "You could have given it to one of my classmates." "I don't know them." Gu Yanchuan paused, choosing his words. "I asked for your contact info. They all said they didn't have it." I knew he was sugarcoating it. Those people probably wouldn't even agree to pass it along. Right. They didn't have it. Both of us were misfits here. Not just equally poor, but equally alone. After that, Gu Yanchuan and I became friends. We added each other on WeChat, sharing part-time job leads. We handed out flyers together, waited tables together, danced in clumsy mascot suits together, worked as extras on film sets together. We'd lie on the freezing cold concrete playing dead bodies, then look at each other's dusty, disheveled faces and burst out laughing. We often set out before dawn and returned under the moon and stars. It turned out that walking through dark, scary alleys with Gu Yanchuan by my side, I could still look up and see the starry sky above. Once, he invited me to watch him perform at a bar where he was a singer. The boy with delicate features sat on a small stage with his guitar, singing Nan Fang, the South, his voice low and husky enough to make anyone's heart flutter. That night, I bought a case of beer and sat with Gu Yanchuan on the school sports field. He didn't drink, just watched me. There's a line in Nan Fang, "My first love was there." I asked him, "Have you ever been in love?" Gu Yanchuan shook his head. "Then why sing 'My first love was there'? It's just the lyrics." Gu Yanchuan pursed his lips. "My hometown is there." I was taken aback. I took a sip of beer, the cold liquid sliding down my throat. One drink was my limit. Half a can in, and I was already a little tipsy. "I need money because of debt." "Why do you need money?" Gu Yanchuan didn't answer immediately. He stayed silent for a long time, as if trying to gauge if I was drunk enough to forget whatever he said by morning. Then he said, "The day the college entrance exam results came out, my dad was so happy. He drank and drove. 3 parts of my drunkenness instantly vanished. He apologized to me later, but what good does that do? Drinking and driving ruined 2 families. So," he smiled at me, "I don't drink. And you should drink less." The summer night breeze brushed past as I looked at Gu Yanchuan's face. Acting on a strange impulse, bewitched by the moment, I said, "Okay, I'll listen to you, but on one condition." Gu Yanchuan asked, "What?" I took a deep breath, leaned in, and kissed his cheek. Gu Yanchuan froze. The next second he smiled. "Didn't you say poverty-stricken couples face endless sorrow?" I gazed into his eyes, seeing the distant lights and myself reflected in them. "But with you, I want to see if love alone can be enough to live on." The moment Gu Yanchuan left, Zhou Chun emerged yawning from the officer's inner room. He glanced at me, his tone indifferent. How pitiful. My stomach was already cramping from not having eaten breakfast. "You got up this early just to laugh at me." "Not that free," Zhou Chun pointed at manager Lin, who was smiling and calling him boss. "I came to discuss his, Gu Yanchuan's contract termination." Termination? I was stunned. I hadn't heard about this before. The incident happened yesterday, and today they're talking termination. Hasn't it been 10 years yet? No. He's done too well these past few years, has spare cash for the termination fee. Besides, Zhou Chun looked at me through his silver-rimmed glasses, a hint of something ambiguous in his gaze. Why stay? To be a cash cow for someone who stole his woman? I'm so wronged. Ignoring Zhou Chun's sarcasm, my face pale, I pulled Kiao away from Leiyu Entertainment. The elevator descended steadily. I stared blankly at the changing floor numbers. He'd rather pay a termination fee than stay in the same company as me. How could I forget to switch accounts? So damn stupid. Kiao's worried gaze met mine. Are you okay? I'm fine. Really? You're as pale as someone about to steal the white impermanence's job. Ding. The elevator reached the basement. Siyao, is your stomach acting up again? There was a figure by the elevator. I didn't have time to make out who it was before my vision went black. Amid Kiao's gasp, I fell into a familiar embrace. I woke up in the hospital. Kiao brought some congee and sat by my bed, counting on her fingers. 3 good news, 1 bad news. Which do you want first? I said weakly. The good news. Okay. Well, Gu Yanchuan carried you to the car and brought you to the hospital this morning. Does that count? Sure, I guess. Probably because I was passed out. And both Kiao and his manager were women. Couldn't just leave me. You two got photographed. The Yanyao shippers are currently banging their heads against the wall in excitement. Is Gu Yanchuan going to strangle me now? I'm not that free. That voice made me jump so hard I nearly yanked out the oxygen tube. You? What are you doing here? The lobby swarmed. I can't leave. Gu Yanchuan, dressed all in black, walked over in a few strides. I'll tell you the other two messages. One, good news. You've got a severe stomach ulcer. Need to be hospitalized. Congratulations. Thanks. Gu Yanchuan's expression twisted slightly at my words. And one, bad news. What? That script manager Lin mentioned. I'm taking it. Gu Yanchuan paused. The next sentence seemed forced out of his throat. Lin Siyao, I want to see exactly what skills you've picked up all these years with Zhou Chun. With that, he stormed out like a gust of wind, slamming the private hospital room door shut. Kiao and I looked at the closed door, both letting out a sigh of relief, staring at each other. Weren't the floors below swarmed? Kiao shrugged. Aren't all hospital lobbies crowded? She sighed. You too. Before? You know each other? Yeah, I said, a bit dazed. Been there, done that. In the end, I broke up with him. Kiao gave a thumbs up. Impressive. Back then, Gu Yanchuan and I were like two plants growing entwined. Our roots intertwined, our stems wrapped around each other. We found contentment in a steamer basket of 13 yuan hot soup dumplings on a dark winter morning. We looked forward to the last day of each month, our dine-out day, for a hot pot or some Jiangxi cuisine. A small slice of cream cake on a birthday could feel incredibly sweet. Under the low-eaved sky we looked up to, beyond the clouds, lay a future we couldn't yet see, but eagerly anticipated. But for me, 2 million was just too much. In Gu Yanchuan's family, his mom was helping pay off their debt. They sold their house, their car, and were almost done with it. But me? Our house and car were long gone, taken by my dad to settle debts. In nearly 2 years, we'd paid back less than 400,000. It couldn't keep up with the interest. One late payment wiped out all the debt collectors' patience. They grabbed me by the neck and said if I was late again, they'd send people to my school, and my mom's life would be made miserable too. That day I walked home in the rain, crying as I reached out to my mom. Give it to me. My mom played dumb. What? My eyes red, I yelled. I know you have another bank card. Give it to me. What card? I don't know. Ignoring her protests, I started rummaging through the house. Surprisingly, I actually found it. I tried to leave with it, but my mom grabbed my arm, shouting, "What are you doing? That's your mother's retirement money. If we don't give them the money, you won't have a retirement." Mum, I'll take care of you when you're old, but do you want your daughter to die? While she was stunned, I shook off her hand. The card had 300,000. I used that money to buy us, mother and daughter, a brief period of peace. But I never expected that not long after, my mom left. She left a letter and another bank card, saying she was going abroad with Uncle Liu, so as not to burden me and hoping I'd wish her happiness. I had the presence of mind to check the balance, another 300,000. It felt like a cruel joke. It was as if my mom was using 600,000 to completely sever our mother-daughter bond. I never wanted to abandon them, yet they could abandon me so easily. All those values I'd been taught since childhood, that emotions couldn't be measured by money, seemed to crumble to dust in that moment. Looking back, the first 18 years of my life felt like a dream. That day I walked alone for a very, very long time. When Gu Yanchuan found me, I was squatting outside his rented apartment, waiting for him to come home. In the dead of winter, wearing only a thin sweater, he ran the last few steps, wrapping his coat around me. As the warmth enveloped me, I sniffled, looking up at him with swollen eyes. I don't want to go back to the dorm tonight. Gu Yanchuan paused, then said, "Okay." That night, we calmly made noodles, ate dinner. After cleaning up, Gu Yanchuan hugged me from behind. The room with the lights off was very dark. The me before 18 would never have imagined ending up like this. I should have had a loving father, a gentle mother, a lover whose eyes held only me. I should have given myself in an atmosphere of tenderness and love. Gu Yanchuan kissed my temples, damp with either sweat or tears, and said, "I'll always be here." I froze. Gu Yanchuan repeated, Gu Yanchuan will always be with Lin Siyao. But in the end, it was me who broke that promise. I was hospitalized for a week. A month later, our new drama started filming. The internet exploded. When I logged into the Yimeng Yanchuan account, it nearly lagged from the thousands of comments all eagerly waiting for an update. Maybe it's because of my age and decent career development. But although the buzz around the filming was intense, the comments were mostly gentle. The top liked comment under the official announcement post read, "I brought the marriage registration office to you. Get married on the spot." Kiao snatched my phone before I could reply with, "I'll do my best." At the opening ceremony, Joe Chun, sunglasses perched on his nose, stood beside me, dripping sarcasm. Gu Yanchuan's giving me such scary looks. Well, I'm standing right here next to you, and I'm not moving. Piss him off? Me? Are you insane? I'm the investor. What's your tone? TCH. The producer, Zhao, excitedly whispered in my ear. I'm a Yanyao shipper. Your fanfic is so sweet. Are you still updating? When's the next chapter? Me. After filming wraps. It's not convenient to write here. Zhao covered her mouth, her face turning red. Neither of us noticed Gu Yanchuan's footsteps pausing briefly as he passed behind us. Update what? My shoulder jerked. I turned to meet Gu Yanchuan's less than pleased expression. His tone was stiff. Go get your makeup done. We have all the scenes together this afternoon. If you mess up even one take, I'm paying the penalty and leaving immediately. Money sure changes a man's confidence, Jo Chun remarked coolly from the side. I'll try to get the lawyers to squeeze a bit more out of him. I waved a fist at him and scurried after Gu Yanchuan. Gu Yanchuan. Saying his name out loud made me pause. I'd thought it countless times, but the last time I'd actually called him that seemed like years ago. Gu Yanchuan turned, a flicker of something unnatural crossing his face. What? His features were striking sharp eyebrows, bright eyes, the classic handsome type. He'd lost the boyishness of before, gaining the charm of a mature man. My heart skipped a beat. Why? Why did you suddenly agree to film this drama? Because I felt like it. Mind your own business. With that, he headed off to makeup. Oh. I stood there, rising slightly on my toes. I knew this well. Gu Yanchuan had a soft heart. When I first made my decision, I hadn't figured out how to approach it. His projects almost perfectly avoided any chance of collaborating with me. All I could do was be a fangirl, buy his endorsements, watch his content. Finally, I lowered my fee and managed to join him for a one-day guest spot on a variety show. But it was too short. I didn't have time to do anything before we parted. Thankfully, netizens have sharp eyes. I could at least write fanfic online and have fun. And even collect a bunch of Yanyao is real. Comments. But now, staring at his retreating back, a sliver of hope ignited in my heart. We're shooting a modern drama. The main leads go from campus to the workplace. Childhood sweethearts who grow up together, separate due to misunderstandings and life's twists, then find their way back to each other because of love. The timeline is beautiful. I hope Gu Yanchuan and I can end up the same way. Hesitation leads to defeat. I decide to take the initiative. Thus, the film set echoes daily with the sound of me being a simp. Gu Yanchuan. I'm not quite getting the emotion right for this scene. Do you have time? Can we rehearse? Gu Yanchuan. Want some coffee? I specifically got you a sugar-free Americano. Helps with puffiness. Do I look puffy? I immediately shake my head. Of course not. Gu Yanchuan takes the coffee from my hand with a dark expression. Gu Yanchuan hot. Want a mini fan? USB rechargeable. 5 minutes of charging gets you half an hour of breeze. You're annoying me so much I'm getting hot. Shut up. Okay, but do you want the fan ... double quotes. Gu Yanchuan shoots me a glare. I shut up immediately. Zhao ships us on set every day, her smile stretching to her temples. Only Kiao is exasperated. Could you be a little more reserved? I whisper. Reserved? Will being reserved help me win him back? If you knew this would happen, why did you do it? Didn't think about it when you were the one dumping him, did you? What do you, a 29-year-old single, know about love? Don't hurt me like that. I'll call the police. Then, Kiao Kiao picks up her binoculars and walkie-talkie. Beep beep. 8 o'clock direction. There's an unauthorized photographer. The set security follows the direction. Me. ... How on earth did you see that? Kiao Kiao smirks. I was doing paparazzi shots when they were still playing in the mud. At noon, I take my lunchbox and run to Gu Yanchuan's van, waiting for him. Gu Yanchuan? Want to have lunch together? My housekeeper made a lot. There's stuff you like. Gu Yanchuan's lips press into a thin line. You're always hovering around me. Doesn't Joe Chun care? I'm caught off guard. Why would he care? He's our boss, not our dad. He won't be for long. What do you mean? Gu Yanchuan looks at me. I'm terminating my contract. I'm silent for a moment, looking into his eyes. Are you terminating because of me? Gu Yanchuan doesn't answer. I think he'll tell me not to flatter myself. But he smiles, the curve of his lips mocking. What do you think? I don't want to be in the same company as you for one more second. And I don't want Joe Chun's name over my head. Then why did you agree to ... double quotes? I don't care what you're trying to do. Gu Yanchuan cuts me off. Maybe it's my imagination, but his eyes seem a bit red. Don't forget who let go first. It was me. 6 years ago, we were juniors in college. The best news that year was that we both passed the audition for Lei Pictures and got signed as actors. The night we signed, Gu Yanchuan and I went out for a fancy meal. I raised my juice. To Gu Yanchuan, may your star shine bright, may everything go smoothly. Gu Yanchuan smiled, wiping away the tears I couldn't hold back, his gaze tender. To Gu Yanchuan, may Lin Siyao always be by his side. Even though we knew the industry was brutal, signing with Lei felt like a shot of adrenaline. Life is always pushed forward by little bits of hope, one after another. Gu Yanchuan and I had different managers. But similarly, at a big company like Lei, each manager had at least dozens of artists like us. After signing, our lives filled up with company-arranged dance classes, acting classes. This was Lei's standard initial investment in each artist. More classes meant less time for part-time jobs. Once I was late for a class because of a part-time gig and got yelled at by my manager. The time conflict forced me to give up that job. The comforting saying, "Life will get better," only works for those who aren't yet desperate enough. The debt collector's calls and messages found me again. Gu Yanchuan came out of the shower, drying his hair. Under his worried gaze, I turned off my phone. I bookmarked casting call after casting call, auditioned again and again. But every time ended in failure. I started working as an extra on sets again. That day I met a woman a bit older than me. She was an extra with 3 or 4 lines. Pretty, looking a bit worn, as she squatted in a corner of the set eating her boxed lunch. Seeing me approach, she smiled and struck up a conversation. "Haven't seen you much. New here?" I nodded. "Pretty new. I have classes, don't have much time." "Still in school? Which one?" "Drama Academy." "Oh," she looked surprised. "Alma mater." "What year?" "Junior ... I was a bit surprised. You ... Graduated how many years ago?" 5 years now, my heart sank. Hesitantly I asked, "Haven't you had better opportunities?" She seemed to understand what I was thinking. Patting my shoulder, she quietly listed the actors in the drama. Female lead, the production company boss's girlfriend. Second female lead, the video platform COO's sister. Third female lead, the casting directors, Fourth and fifth female leads brought in by the first lead, same company artists. Even the older actors with more lines are probably some executive producer's wife or something. She sighed. Opportunities ... belong to them. The already mediocre set lunch became utterly tasteless at that moment. 5 years. I chewed on that number, feeling desolate inside. I didn't know if I could endure this kind of life for another 5 years. That day, Gu Yanchuan handed me a bank card. "Here's 30,000. Pay this month's installment first. Focus on auditions." I quickly pushed it back. "But you also need..." "Mine is almost settled." Gu Yanchuan ruffled my hair. "The compensation amount is mostly paid. Their attitude has softened too. After all these years, it's finally coming to an end." I bit my lip, my eyes stinging. I knew how frugally Gu Yanchuan lived. This 30,000 was saved penny by penny from the money he was supposed to repay. Actually, we were luckier than many others. Car shows, comic cons, some film sets, small promotional videos. They brought us quite a few opportunities. But even so, Gu Yanchuan and I still had to work day and night just to barely stay afloat. We were the ones who understood each other's hardships the most. I tried to refuse again. But I don't need ... double quotes. Take it. Gu Yanchuan looked at me for a moment, his eyes crinkling with joy. Yao, I passed an audition. Beacon of Smoke, third male lead. My eyes widened in surprise. Really? That's amazing. Gu Yanchuan nodded. The contract is coming through soon. Don't worry. Things will only get better from here. Back then, Gu Yanchuan's eyes seemed to hold stars. Looking at his smiling face, I was happy for him, but a sour ache filled my heart. Beacon of Smoke was a top-tier S+ project from the biggest video platform, U4Geo. I auditioned for the 6th female lead, and didn't even pass the first round. But Gu Yanchuan got the 3rd male lead. The next day I went to audition for another project. Same as usual, hard to guess what the interviewers were thinking. Right after I stepped out, someone called me. I'm Nico, the executive producer for this project. A sliver of hope instantly ignited in my heart. She looked around and said quietly, I personally like you a lot, and wanted to get your contact. But this role ... Her expression seemed troubled. ... might really not be possible. The hope that had just flared up was instantly extinguished. I forced a smile, exchanged contact info with her, and headed to the next audition location. Another day with no response. That night, I got a message from my manager. She said, Are you free Saturday? I have a dinner gathering. At first, it really was just an ordinary dinner gathering. At the table were a director, a producer, and managers from a few production companies. The director, surnamed Lin, was in his 40s and a bit overweight. That night, I was just pressured into drinking a few glasses. My stomach, long unaccustomed to alcohol, couldn't handle it. When I stumbled back to our rented apartment drunk, Gu Yanchuan immediately came to me. He frowned. Why did you drink so much? Watching him help me off with my shoes and coat, I slurred my reply. Director Lin said he really likes me. Gu Yanchuan, I'll have a role soon too. Gu Yanchuan held me, patting my back while making honey water. You will, Yao, have some water. Don't wanna, I pouted drunkenly. If I drink water, I'll throw up. Gu Yanchuan sighed, unable to hide the heartache in his eyes. Ever since my mom left, it was only in his arms that I felt the slightest sense of belonging. Gu Yanchuan, my voice choked up. I really want a home. Gu Yanchuan patted my back. We will have a home. I will give you everything you want. Sooner or later. Such dinners happened a few more times. They started moving beyond just pressuring me to drink, turning into verbal harassment. After an overly crude, dirty joke, I angrily got up and left. My manager ran after me and grabbed my arm. Lin Siyao, what's your problem? I was trembling with anger. They were ... They what? Just made a few jokes? This isn't an ivory tower. This is the real world. The cutthroat entertainment industry. People with no background who act all high and mighty starve to death. Think about it carefully. That day I went home reeking of alcohol again. We lived in a tiny studio apartment. At that moment, the ceiling felt particularly low. Gu Yanchuan's face was clouded with anger we couldn't dissipate. We had our biggest fight since getting together. He asked me how long I planned to keep doing this. I cried and asked him, Then what do you want me to do? Gu Yanchuan, I still have debts to pay. I can't bear the thought of still living a debt-ridden, humiliating life 5 years from now. You still have family. I don't have family anymore. I said I am your family. My family will be your family in the future. Can you save me then? Gu Yanchuan fell silent. That night, we lay back to back, neither speaking a word. I declined Director Lin's dinner invitations twice. My manager was persistent, sending WeChat messages repeatedly, emphasizing, Just one more time, and the role is yours. It's just some jokes. You won't lose a piece of flesh. If you don't come, plenty of others are waiting. These words were like a curse, swirling over my head every day. The wall was never airtight to begin with, and the debt collector's calls opened a new crack in it. I ended up going to the dinner. My manager was pleased and seated me next to Director Lin. At first, everyone was relatively restrained. But as the night went on, the jokes got worse and worse. My face grew so stiff I didn't know what expression to make. Halfway through, I stumbled to the bathroom. I meant to send Gu Yanchuan a quick message to say I was okay, but realized I didn't have my phone and went back to get it. Through the crack of the private room door, I saw my manager pouring a white powder into my wine glass. I sobered up instantly. I fled, my teeth chattering with fear. Coming out of the bathroom, I washed my hands vigorously under the cold water until my fingers turned red. I looked at my red-eyed reflection in the mirror, as if looking at a clown. Back at the table, my manager tried repeatedly to get me to drink. Seeing that the others were also quite drunk, I managed to pour out a lot of my drink under the table, using the angle. I thought that might help me escape unscathed, until Director Lin's hand reached for me. His hand was hot, but through the thin denim of my jeans, it felt cold, like a snake's tongue slithering upward. My whole body froze, a chill shooting from my spine to the top of my head. He looked at me, his eyes smiling with something dirty and suggestive. I squeezed my eyes shut, as his hand started moving further up. Trembling, I grabbed a wine bottle and amidst gasps and shouts, smashed it against his head. I ran home. Gu Yanchuan wasn't back yet. I stared at my phone, my nerves on edge. What had just happened felt like an unreal dream. But I knew. The cold glass bottle was real. The red blood was real. The howls of pain were real. That heated reaction born from humiliation now flooded me with immense fear and regret. I had absolutely no ability to bear the consequences. The sound of the lock turning made my whole body go slack. I jolted up and rushed into Gu Yanchuan's arms the moment he entered. It wasn't a big impact, but he sharply drew in a cold breath. I sensed something was wrong. What happened? Gu Yanchuan didn't answer. I pressed on his arm through his shirt, and he instinctively flinched away. Realizing something, I forcefully pulled up his shirt. Even though I'd expected something, seeing it still made me pause. His skin was covered in bruises, and a large patch was scraped raw and swollen. I looked up at his face. There were marks on his cheek too. What did you do? I demanded loudly. Aren't you about to start filming for Beacon of Smoke? Are you going like this? Gu Yanchuan, resigned, pulled me into a gentle hug. We had intensive training today. Lots of stunts. It was an accident, so it was from training. I relaxed slightly, touching his wounds with heartache. But you still shouldn't have ... double quotes. Gu Yanchuan held me tightly, his tone as firm as a vow. I'll give this role everything I've got. He paused, stubbornly adding, I can save you. Hearing those 4 words, my heart ached as if twisted into knots. The emotions momentarily pushed aside by his injury surged back up. I thought, now I might really be beyond saving. What on earth should I do? Gu Yanchuan's eyes were clear and pure. What's wrong? I found myself almost afraid to meet such a gaze. I lowered my eyelids, deciding to keep it to myself for now. It's nothing. The audition didn't work out again. I thought someone would come for me soon, maybe from the company, maybe Director Lin's people, maybe the police. Unexpectedly, the night passed peacefully. No news came out. I didn't sleep. 1,000 possibilities running through my mind. Hoping against hope that maybe Director Lin was worried about the scandal and might let it slide publicly. What I didn't expect was a message that Joe Chen wanted to see me. Joe Chen, the boss of Lei Yu Entertainment, 30 years old. His family started with a chain of hotels. He single-handedly developed Lei Yu's entertainment division. In 8 years, he built Lei Yu into a leading domestic talent agency. That was my first time meeting Joe Chen. He set his silver-rimmed glasses aside and looked at me across the huge desk. So you're the one who cracked someone's skull open? Got guts? Aren't you curious why no one's come after you? Even I wasn't stupid enough not to realize he'd intervened. Thank you, President Joe. Joe Chen chuckled, casually opening a file on his desk. Lin Siyao, 20 years old. Junior in the acting department. Capital Drama Academy. Father disappeared in debt, mother went abroad. Paying back the money has been tough, hasn't it? I looked up sharply. You investigated me? Yep, Gu Yanchuan said matter-of-factly, as if discussing dinner plans. I investigated you. Lin Siyao, that old pervert, is old and ugly. How about being with me instead? My heart jolted. I forced an awkward smile. You must be joking. TSK, who's joking? I helped you out of a huge mess. I deserve some return. My voice grew weak. It could be something else. Double quotes. Jofi snorted, walking over in a few strides. He pinched my chin, forcing me to look at him. He was good-looking, with narrow eyes that held a smile. His tone was casual, as if he had a good temper. But if you looked closely, you'd see there wasn't a trace of warmth behind those smiling eyes. He lowered his voice. What else do you have? It was the gaze of someone in a position of power. Under that prolonged stare, cold sweat almost broke out on me. Gu Yanchuan finally mercifully released his grip, putting some distance between us. Only then did I feel like I was back in an oxygenated space, gasping for breath. All right, I won't force you. Come out with me this afternoon, and we'll be square. Where to? Gu Yanchuan shot me a glance. Too many questions. In the afternoon, Gu Yanchuan first took me to one of his arranged marriage meetings. The woman sitting across from us looked at me, her eyes red with grievance. I uncomfortably turned my head away. Then he took me to a private club. It seemed like a gathering of his personal friends. When they saw me, their looks were suggestive, but no one asked questions. Gu Yanchuan played some Texas Hold'em with them, then went out to take a phone call and told me to play for him. In less than 20 minutes, I'd lost 3 chips. When Gu Yanchuan came back and saw my cringeworthy card skills, he chuckled. You're quite bold. You just lost a car's worth. I looked at him warily. You told me to play. Yeah, Gu Yanchuan said. Didn't say you had to pay for it. That evening he took me to a high-end Western restaurant. The price of the red wine and steak made me lose my appetite even more than the slightly bloody look of the steak. The cost of one meal here was a month's food budget for Gu Yanchuan and me, maybe even more. I put down my knife and fork. You said if I went somewhere with you, we'd be even. Gu Yanchuan grunted. Right, even. I'll take you home after dinner. After dinner, Gu Yanchuan really did take me home. Sitting in the back seat of the Cayenne outside my dilapidated rented apartment, I saw Gu Yanchuan walking back against the cold wind. Even in such strong wind and freezing weather, he still stood tall, not bending in the slightest. He was carrying something. I recognized it immediately. It was from that Jiangji cuisine restaurant I loved, the one we only allowed ourselves to visit at the end of each month. He liked spicy food but always gave in to me, eating milder dishes with me. The red wine and steak I'd eaten seemed to churn in my stomach, making it sour. It was the end of the month again. I didn't cry when I smashed the bottle against Director Lin's head, but tears fell hard at this moment. Gu Yanchuan's gaze swept over. In this kind of place, luxury cars weren't uncommon. Even though I knew you couldn't see anything from outside the tinted windows, I instinctively lowered my head until his figure disappeared into the stairwell. Gu Yanchuan, beside me, said in an indifferent tone, Boyfriend? I suppressed a sob. Yes, Gu Yanchuan snorted. A pair of star-crossed lovers. I said stubbornly, We're fine. Gu Yanchuan's voice was a bit cold. Then congratulations. I didn't reply further. I waited until the light turned on upstairs before getting out of the car. I had hoped, clinging to a sliver of luck, that this matter would pass. Little did I know, an even bigger disaster was waiting tomorrow, determined to wash away our already precarious existence. The next night, that Gu Yanchuan, who had sworn off alcohol completely, was dead drunk. He hugged the toilet as if trying to throw up his entire stomach, his eyes red and bloodshot. He looked utterly wretched and vulnerable. He held me tightly, as if clutching a final piece of driftwood, unable to hold back his reddened eyes anymore. His handsome face eventually buried itself in my shoulder. His tears felt like they could scald me. His voice choked up. The roll, it's gone. My heart turned cold. What happened? Gu Yanchuan spoke haltingly. They said my dad, is a murderer. Their drama can't have an actor with that kind of risk. It was the first time I saw Gu Yanchuan cry. He cried, saying, Yao Yao, I'm sorry. I stopped Zhou Chun in the parking lot. Why did you do this? After what happened, I kept remembering Zhou Chun's words. Then congratulations. He was also one of the investors in Beacon of Smoke. The role that originally belonged to Gu Yanchuan was given to another artist from the same company. It was hard not to connect the dots. Zhou Chun wasn't surprised to see me and understood perfectly what I was talking about. What did I do? I'm an investor. I have to ensure my money isn't wasted. Mitigating risks for my investment in advance. Do you think I did something wrong? His words deflated my anger. I couldn't find a rebuttal and stood there, speechless. Zhou Chun looked at me, no emotion in his eyes. It's not like there's no solution. My family's pushing me. I need an obedient shield and a pretty companion. He curled his lip, appraising me up and down as if pricing merchandise. I have another drama missing a second male lead. I can also help you with projects you want later. And I can pay off your debt. How about it? I gave him a long look and turned to leave. But yesterday's memory, the burning pain on my shoulder, flooded into my mind at that moment. For an instant, it was like watching a movie. Many scenes flashing by. Gu Yanchuan on the freshman year sports field, telling me not to drink. Gu Yanchuan full of hope after getting the role, as if the future would be better. Gu Yanchuan covered in wounds. Gu Yanchuan drunk last night. And myself, failing audition after audition, with nowhere to turn. The things we spend our lives desperately trying to grasp are often within easy reach for another group of people. I still walked away, but my steps were no longer light. That was probably truly a period of grey days. Gu Yanchuan became withdrawn and quiet. Old wounds hadn't healed, new ones were added. When I asked, I only got the reply that recent auditions involved a lot of action scenes. Besides heartache, there was nothing I could do. I also started leaving earlier and returning later, running to auditions and working as an extra. A relatively attractive face was worthless in the face of hidden rules. Fleeting scenes offered little chance to showcase acting skills. The final straw came a week later. The small film studio was packed with crews. I hadn't eaten in the morning and was feeling hypoglycemic. Finally, making it to the lunch break. I had just picked up the warm lunchbox when I heard a gasp nearby. It was a period drama crew filming a dragging scene on a roof. The wire was set, but the coordination between human and machine always had some margin of error. Like just now, when I looked over, I saw a figure in white robes roll off the eaves, caught by the wire, then slammed hard against the wall. He didn't look like a person, more like a toy to be tossed around. But he was indeed a person, and one I knew all too well. That kid's going all out. He needs the money. Another extra who saw it said. Run into him several times. Stunt work is tough, risking your life for more pay. Kids' looks aren't worse than the male leads. Tough luck. Wow, he really is quite handsome. Don't speak too soon, he might make it. I wanted to run over, but my legs felt heavy, as if held down by something. My heart turned completely cold. This winter seemed even colder. I watched him land, stand up with a frown, suck in a sharp breath from the pain, then nod to the people talking earlier. So that's how he got hurt. I thought of that bank card. Its warmth seemed to travel through time, scalding the fingers that had taken it back then. My hand unconsciously clenched. A sharp pain, a splinter from the disposable wooden chopsticks, had pierced my palm. Gu Yanchuan, as if guided by something, suddenly looked in my direction. I don't know if he saw me, because by then, my vision was already blurry, and I couldn't see clearly anymore. When Gu Yanchuan came home that night, I had just showered. We looked at each other, both silent. I don't know who moved first. We came together, biting and clinging, seeking warmth from each other. Later, we stopped. The back of my hand covered my eyes. I felt an unprecedented sadness and despair. It shouldn't be like this. But what on earth were we supposed to do? Looking at Gu Yanchuan's sleeping face, I made a decision in my heart. The next day, Gu Yanchuan left early for work. I got up silently, washed up, sent Gu Yanchuan a text saying I had something on in the evening and would stay at the dorm, then dialed Zhou Chun's number. The man on the other end mused. A bit earlier than I expected. That evening he took me to another high-end restaurant. Seeing my anxiety, he even explained with a smile. Movie, dinner, Sleep. Just following the steps. Don't be nervous. After dinner, I went with Joe Chen to a hotel. Everything happened too fast. I regretted it even before entering the room. But the small, dull ache from the rough wood splinter in my fingertip was still there, as if reminding me of something. In the penthouse suite, even the carpet felt dizzyingly soft underfoot. The bedroom inside was twice the size of our tiny studio, even though that apartment was the best we could afford. Joe Chan stood behind me and said, "Go take a shower." I took a deep breath, walked into the bathroom, and showered for a very, very long time. I don't know what mood Joe Chen was waiting in, but when I walked out of the bathroom wearing the exact same clothes I had worn in, he couldn't help but laugh out loud. I stared at him stubbornly. Joe Chen didn't seem to mind at all. He loosened his tie, walked over to me in 2 steps, and leaned in to kiss me. The moment his unfamiliar breath touched me, I forcefully turned my head away. Joe Chen looked at me trembling like a leaf and laughed again. "Lin Siyao, it's the first time someone on my bed has had this expression. Is this bed leaking electricity?" I retorted, "That's because you haven't seen enough." Joe Chen stood up and shook his head. All interest was gone. He called his assistant. "Book another room for me." After saying that, he added, "Make sure it's a room where the bed doesn't leak electricity." Then, ignoring his assistant's confusion, he went to take a shower. The assistant arrived quickly. Following Joe Chen's instructions, he took me to the room next door. I lay down restlessly, really wanting to go home. But my mind was a tangled mess. Afraid of giving anything away, I eventually drifted into a fitful sleep. Nothing happened that night, but I also gained nothing. I felt a moment of relief, then a moment of regret. The pressure still engulfed me like a tide, leaving me breathless. I woke up and hurried home. But at home, I saw Gu Yanchuan, who absolutely shouldn't have been there at that time. The look he gave me was ice cold. Gu Yanchuan and I parted ways at the end of that year. That day after I got home, we had a fierce argument. The number of fights we had during that period surpassed the total from the past 2 years combined. Our arguments often started with "why" and ended with "what do you want me to do?" Gu Yanchuan asked me, "Why did you say you had work and would be out during the day? Why were you drinking so much during that time? You offended Director Lin, didn't you? Why didn't you tell me? Who helped you settle it?" Finally, he asked outright, "Who did you go to the hotel with?" "Someone sent me photos." "Why did you get out of that Cayenne parked downstairs that day?" "Who was in the Cayenne?" "I was watching from the upstairs window when you came out." He looked at me, his voice very soft as he asked, "Joe Chen?" When those 2 words fell, I felt as if my tail had been stepped on. I jerked my head up. "You suspect me?" Gu Yanchuan seemed to have heard something amusing. "Shouldn't I suspect?" He stared at me, his eyes rimmed red as he repeated, "Shouldn't I suspect you?" "Lin Siyao, if nothing happened, just give me an explanation, okay?" I looked at the person before me. He seemed to be begging me. But it shouldn't be like this. It really shouldn't. I squeezed my eyes shut tightly. The scene of Gu Yanchuan falling from the rooftop, the palpitations it brought back were no less than when I had witnessed it firsthand. He clearly could have had better opportunities. Instead of risking his life, getting bruised and battered to be a stunt double who gets thrown around, and wouldn't even get a proper shot in the end. This scene felt like a curse, forcing me to make a decision. He had already crawled out of the abyss. He should move on. The one dragging him down by the hand was me. I don't know how much time passed. The look in Gu Yanchuan's eyes went from anticipation, to pleading, to despair. I said hoarsely, "I can't explain." He asked me, "Why are you like this?" I felt numb, like a machine reciting lines. "Because I'm too tired. I found someone more suitable." "What do you mean? Isn't this circle just like this?" I said self-destructively. "Those with money and power call the shots. We're just ants that can be crushed easily. I don't want to live under debt anymore. I don't want to live in fear every day because debt collectors show up at the door. I don't want to exhaust myself trying to stay safe in those filthy drinking parties. I can't wait 5 years for a life of audition after audition only to fail. I can't imagine if, 5 years from now, life is still like this ... It won't be." Gu Yanchuan came over and hugged me. "It won't be like this in 5 years. Then can you save me?" Lin Jian drugged me at a dinner. I hit him with a bottle. I gritted my teeth and asked him, Gu Yanchuan can save me. Can you save me? Gu Yanchuan's body stiffened as he held me. He seemed struck by something, gripping my arms tightly. Hurting me. It's true. It was really you who hurt him. He drugged you. Why didn't you tell me? What good would telling you do? Gu Yanchuan froze. I vaguely felt something was different about him. It was as if some emotion inside him suddenly amplified, swelled, and exploded. I could see the determination in his eyes. He turned and rushed towards the door. My heart skipped a beat. I grabbed his arm. Gu Yanchuan, what are you doing? Gu Yanchuan. His hand was already on the doorknob. I'm going to kill him. He was too strong. I couldn't stop him even pulling hard. The door opened and I slammed it shut again with all my might. Gu Yanchuan. I was running out of strength and roared. Do you want your mother to watch you and your father both go to jail? Gu Yanchuan stopped moving. I forcefully, one by one, pried his fingers off the doorknob. I said softly, You can't even save yourself. Gu Yanchuan's arm went limp. After a long while, he looked at me. I had never seen such a profound look in his eyes. He looked at me, yet it didn't feel like he was seeing me. Maybe the current me was truly becoming a stranger to him. Yeah, he repeated softly. Gu Yanchuan can save you. I can't. Gu Yanchuan snatched the couple mugs we bought together and hurled them furiously at the corner of the wall. The mugs shattered with a crash, making me flinch. We were trying so hard. We had been trying so hard already. I can't even fucking save myself. The room fell silent. Neither of us said break up, but we already had the answer. I dragged out my suitcase to start packing. Gu Yanchuan silently stopped me. He took out his own suitcase, and without a word, started packing his things one by one. He seemed utterly defeated. His back, which hadn't bent amidst changes, setbacks, and biting winds, finally bent now. I felt his despair. The small space, once packed full, now felt empty in one corner, and my heart felt hollowed out too, as if maintaining the last shred of dignity, or afraid that one more look would bring regret. Our gazes never again fell on each other. Until he was about to leave. From behind him, I said softly, It can't. Gu Yanchuan didn't turn around, but I knew he understood. But with you, I wanted to see if love could be enough to quench thirst. It can't. After that day, life didn't seem to change much. Just that the space beside the bed was empty, and no one waited for me to come home anymore. At the end of the year, I came down with a high fever and curled up under the covers. The apartment heating wasn't great, but I didn't even know the property management's number. Gu Yanchuan used to handle these things. In my dazed state, I thought, I'll spend this new year alone. The future too. I'll spend it alone. In the evening, I got a call from Gu Yanchuan. He seemed to have suddenly remembered me and sounded in a good mood. Zhao Lin, Brother Joe here has a role. Want to give it a try? Brother Joe, my foot? I was about to reply but started coughing violently first. Gu Yanchuan paused. What's wrong with you? I said. Fair. The. Gu Yanchuan. Where's that unlucky boyfriend of yours? I said. Bro. Care up. Thank you very much. Gu Yanchuan fell completely silent this time. In the end, he almost called the police, got the property to open the door, and hauled me out of bed. I swear, my body temperature was definitely hotter than the heating. While carrying me and running, Gu Yanchuan still found time to complain. If I hadn't called you today, you'd have made the news tomorrow. Might have been the most famous you'd ever be in your life. I didn't have the strength to argue with him. Gu Yanchuan dumped me in the hospital for 3 days. After I insisted on leaving, he took me back to the familiar chief operating officer's office. Gu Yanchuan was still wearing his silver-rimmed glasses, looking through the lenses with a half-smile. Zhao Lin, you've caught my attention, so I'll give you a plan B. Do you think you're being very rhythmic? Gu Yanchuan said. Keep me company, or ... He took out 2 documents. It was a betting agreement. He would help me pay off my debts and give me certain support. In return, I had to earn Liu Entertainment 300 million within the next 5 years. Otherwise, all the money he helped repay today, and the resources he would invest in me in the future, would be converted into my debt. Gu Yanchuan pushed his glasses up. I say it's more comfortable to make money lying down. Seize the opportunity, Because next time Before he could finish, I signed my name on the betting agreement without a moment's hesitation. Gu Yanchuan looked at the three bold characters Lin Siyao that nearly pierced the paper, not surprised at all, and let out a laugh. That New Year's Eve was the loneliest spring festival I had spent, yet also the most idle one in those past few years. It was that year that Kiao came to my side. Gu Yanchuan also threw a few roles my way, ones I could never have gotten no matter how many auditions I attended before. But in his hands they were easily obtained. I barely had time to savor how good it felt not to be chased by debt collectors before I was plunged into endless anxiety. The first time I formally acted in a drama, 2 months, my salary was 100,000. According to our agreement, 8,000 yuan for living expenses was deposited into my account each month. The rest had to go towards filling that 300 million yuan gap. In early March, springtime, green leaves sprouted. It was only then that I truly realized just how much 300 million yuan was. 5 years seemed long, seemingly endless opportunities. But going at this pace, I simply couldn't possibly achieve the target. After that, my time no longer seemed to belong to me. Every minute was split into several parts. Pressure, ambition, resentment, exhaustion, emptiness like a giant maw of an abyss. It swallowed me whole and then pushed me forward. That year I rested for less than 5 days. I had no time for sorrow, no time to savor other things in life. I had to beg the director for leave to take school exams. My graduation thesis was written on an actor's chair on set, bundled in a heavy down jacket. I was running every single day, never again willing to taste that feeling of being powerless, never again willing to experience more helplessness. I had never actively searched for news about Gu Yanchuan before, but I still heard bits and pieces about him gaining prominence. Until one day in the winter of the second year, during rush hour, I was stuck in traffic near Heshinhui Plaza. Due to years of irregular schedule, I had developed severe stomach problems and had just come from the hospital. I had been resting with my eyes closed, but opened them when I realized the car wasn't moving at all. The discomfort in my stomach suddenly intensified in this environment and anxious mood. And then I saw Gu Yanchuan's large-scale advertisement. It was for a perfume. Once I saw it, it was hard to look away. That young man who used to squeeze into a stifling apartment with me was now so dazzling. I stared without blinking, not knowing who I was asking. Is he doing well now? Kiao was coordinating my schedule and looked up, puzzled. Who? She followed my gaze and froze. Oh, Teacher Gu. Of course he's doing well. He's really popular lately. I withdrew my gaze. That's good. Kiao gave me a suspicious look, but didn't say anything. After that day, I no longer avoided news about Gu Yanchuan. I watched the dramas he acted in after we separated. The one that had just aired was a low-budget ancient romance, and he played the male lead. Gu Yanchuan's features were already strikingly beautiful, and ancient costumes suited him very well. These kinds of dramas always attract many fans. I didn't know if he got the role with someone's help later, but that was no longer important. Strangely, we were in the same company but hardly ever crossed paths on any projects. After parting ways, the only time we contacted each other was when something happened to him. After he became popular, the incident where his father caused a fatal accident while drunk driving was finally exposed. This matter was always like a ticking time bomb, and now it finally reached its long foreseeable conclusion. Online public opinion surged like a tide, easily pulling a person into the center of a whirlpool. They wouldn't listen to any explanations, just clamored for Gu Yanchuan to apologize and leave the industry. The company issued statements and lawyers' letters, but they all sank without a trace. I couldn't help but call him late one night. He answered after a long time. Hello? Hearing the familiar voice, my throat tightened. I had changed my phone number, but Gu Yanchuan still immediately realized who I was. Speak, Lin Siyao. Is that you? I finally found my voice. It's me. Silence fell on the other end. After a long while, I softly said, not knowing who I was comforting. It'll be okay. Gu Yanchuan responded deeply. Neither of us spoke again, but neither hung up the phone. The next day when I woke up, I found my phone had died. Turning it on, I saw the call had lasted a full 5 hours. The public opinion reversed the next afternoon. Gu Yanchuan personally issued a statement. He apologized on behalf of his father, released records of the compensation payments he had made over the years, one by one, and a letter of forgiveness from the victim's family. What he summarized in just a few sentences were those years we had relied on each other, gritting our teeth and persevering together. No one knew about those years. No one could attest to them. They existed only in our memories. After that night, we again tacitly stopped contacting each other, until the end of the third year, when we both became hugely popular. At the year-end Golden Vision Awards, Gu Yanchuan and I won the Best New Actor and Actress awards respectively. That was the first time we saw each other up close after breaking up. I wore a silver fishtail gown, my hair up in a high bun, entering with Zhou Chun. Gu Yanchuan wore a white haute couture suit. We were no longer in a sorry state. We stood side by side, under the starry sky before a packed house of guests. Our past wretchedness felt very far away, yet he existed only in my peripheral vision that entire evening. We didn't even say to each other, "Long time no see." That day I frantically scrolled online for photos of us together from the awards night. Adjacent was a post analyzing my gown. It turned out the gown Zhou Chun instructed the company to order for me cost a full 900,000 yuan. I stared at that number, lost in thought. By the time I came back to my senses, my face was already wet with a cold dampness. The sum that once pushed us to the brink was now the price of a gown I could casually wear. A stark reminder of what I had lost. I didn't achieve the 300 million target in 5 years, but I still rose to the top tier. In another act of mercy from Zhou Chun, he gave me 1 extra year. He and I actually became fairly good friends. Beyond work, I occasionally helped him fend off blind dates. Many in the industry spread rumors that he was my sugar daddy. Zhou Chun didn't care at all, and I couldn't be bothered to explain. Just half a year ago, I completed the bet. It proves that once the pressure of life suddenly disappears, people immediately become sentimental. After almost no break for 6 years, I took over half a month off. While being monitored by Kiao to drink traditional Chinese medicine, I started catching up on all of Gu Yanchuan's works and materials from these years. Then I started fangirling and buying his endorsements. With my spending power, I soon became one of his major fans. After the holiday ended, I didn't take on any new dramas. Instead, I went to improve my line delivery, accepted a few commercial deals and magazine interviews, and even jumped at a variety show, even if it meant lower pay. And that led to the reunion with Gu Yanchuan, led to his heroic fish slapping, led to the Yan Yao CP, led to my glorious unmasking. When he took on this drama, I had held a sliver of hope. But now, I suddenly wondered, Gu Yanchuan? Is he still willing to be with me? Between us lies unclear, inexpressible depths of guilt and a full 6 years of time. At night, after memorizing my lines for the next few days, I opened the fruit wine the producer had brought last time. Liquid courage. After a couple of gulps, feeling bold and heroic, I marched over and knocked on Gu Yanchuan's door. Gu Yanchuan had just showered. He was in pajamas, a towel still draped over his hair. Seeing it was me, he looked surprised. "What's up?" The moment I saw him, all the speeches I prepared instantly deserted me. A sharp pain in my abdomen overwhelmed my senses. My vision went dark for a moment, cold sweat about to break out. "Gu Yanchuan, my stomach hurts." Gu Yanchuan sniffed, catching a faint scent of alcohol. His expression instantly turned panicked. He grabbed me, gritting his teeth. "Lin Siyao, you're something else." I woke up in the hospital room. Failed before even starting the battle. Hospitalized with a stomach ache. A true recreation of the past. Kiao gave me a cold sidelong glance. "Oh, awake?" I learned my lesson this time. Before speaking, I scanned the room. Kiao seemed to guess my thoughts. "He just left. He's not here." "Impressive, Lin Siyao." She flicked my gastroscopy report. "Next time I get a report, it won't be stomach cancer, will it? Don't jinx it. Don't say such things." Kiao was angry. "Knowing your condition and still daring to drink. If you don't want to live, just tell me in advance. I'll resign. Working with you is giving me arrhythmia." I knew I was in the wrong and spoke weakly. "Sorry. I only had a couple of sips, double quotes, before I knew my stomach's limits well. It hadn't been this serious before." Perhaps the tightly wound string had loosened, and my stomach realized I was slacking off. Kiao Kiao sighed and vented to me. Gu Yanchuan's expression when he sent you to the hospital was like sending a wife to the delivery room. My eyes held hope. Any good news? Kiao Kiao chuckled. Yes, you two were photographed. Now if you open social media, it's just the Civil Affairs Bureau flying everywhere. Comments saying, get married. She looked at me, paused. Also, Gu Yanchuan asked me why Zhou Chun didn't come. And then? Kiao Kiao sounded like she was doing crosstalk. Then I asked why Zhou Chun should come. He asked me what your relationship with Zhou Chun was. I said an exploitative one that you just finished paying off the 300 million bet. He listened. His face turned pale, left looking utterly devastated. Like his wife didn't come out of the delivery room. Hey. I gritted my teeth. You really are my good sister. Kiao Kiao sat on the edge of the bed, her expression turning serious. You clearly still care about each other. If you have something to say, just say it. You have a mouth, isn't it for talking? At worst you part ways and go back to how it was before. What's so scary? Besides, I can see he obviously hasn't let go of you either. That's what I thought too, I said coolly. So I used some liquid courage. Kiao Kiao was speechless, giving me a somewhat indescribable look. Gu Yanchuan opened the door and came in, holding a food container. Without changing his expression, he sat by my bed. Seeing the situation, Kiao Kiao made a quick escape, giving me a thumbs-up gesture. I looked at Gu Yanchuan eagerly. He didn't speak, just opened the container, took out some congee, stirred it with a spoon, and brought it to my lips. Open up. I was pleasantly surprised and immediately drank the congee. Remembering all the speeches I prepared yesterday, I seized the moment and spoke up. Gu Yanchuan, actually, there's nothing between Zhou Chun and me. From the start, nothing happened. He gave me a hand, helped me pay off the debt. We signed a bet. I didn't tell you later, but I was also afraid I wouldn't be able to pay it back. Oomph. A spoonful of congee was stuffed into my mouth. I added. At most, he pulls me in to fend off his blind dates. That's purely a friendly favor. If you mind, I'll go sew his blabbering mouth shut right away. Gu Yanchuan chuckled softly, stirring the congee in the bowl. When he looked up again, his eyes held fragmented light and shadows. Lin Siyao twice. His voice trembled a little. You really scared the life out of me. The crew gave me 3 days off. When work resumed, the most excited one was our CP fan turned real insider Zhao. Are you two together? I learned my lesson this time. First, I confirmed Gu Yanchuan's location. Probably soon. Zhao covered her mouth, expression that of finally seeing her shit become real. Kiao Kiao rolled her eyes and continued pulling out her walkie-talkie. 2 o'clock direction. Paparazzi for sale. 5 o'clock direction. Actual paparazzi. Next to you. Yes, those 2 girls in short sleeves on your right. Ask whose fans they are. How did they get in? I was shocked. You can spot all that. Thanks to you. Kiao Kiao sneered. After you and Gu Yanchuan were photographed last time, the number of people staking out this place for you doubled. Feeling guilty. Just have the set crew handle it. Kiao Kiao revealed a smug smile. What do you know? I struggled so hard to get from being a paparazzi for sale to where I am today. An apprentice wife becomes the mother-in-law just to stay an apprentice wife. Of course, I'm going to be the mother-in-law now. Hey. Not eating properly, talking so much. Gu Yanchuan brought a lunchbox and sat right next to me. Under Jacques Xu's near-fainting expression, he wiped a grain of rice from the corner of my mouth. This scene spread online, and the CP fans exploded. Are they dating? Thanks for the invite. This isn't filming, this is lunch break. Gu Yanchuan actively walked over to Lin Siyao and wiped her mouth. Ah, you stinky couple. Lin Siyao, where are your hands? Crowdfunding to donate hands to Lin Siyao. Already calm and unfazed. Kick me when you go public. Kiao? Kiao silently glanced at the back end of A Dream of Yanchuan. Hello. They're calling for you to update author. 10,000 butts are waiting in the comments section. Under Gu Yanchuan's amused gaze, I silently hid my face behind the script. Originally, filming went smoothly. But when it came to the final scene of the male and female leads reuniting after a long separation, Gu Yanchuan's emotions just weren't right. The director explained the scene to Gu Yanchuan. The female lead gave up your relationship so as not to drag you down. You finally reunite and get back together. Heartfelt words are spoken. You should be very moved, very remorseful. Gu Yanchuan was silent for a long time before speaking. I should feel dejected. He seemed to be talking about the character, and also about himself. I would definitely be willing to endure hardship for her, but those hardships might all be pointless hardships. Remorse is useless too. With my ability back then, even if we replayed it 10,000 times, I couldn't change her situation. Hearing this, I looked up from my script, and my gaze collided with Gu Yanchuan's mid-air. We looked at each other silently. Neither spoke. The next day was Mid-Autumn Festival. We wrapped up early that day. The crew had long agreed on a group dinner. No one at the table urged me to drink, but surprisingly, Gu Yanchuan drank quite a lot. In the many missed years, we both seemed to have changed. After a few rounds of drinks, Gu Yanchuan went to the balcony of the private room to smoke. He stood there, shoulders broad, still upright. The black sweatshirt on him seemed to blend into the dark night. I walked over and stood beside him, watching the smoke dissipate from his lips. His face was hazy behind the smoke, looking somewhat unreal. Smoke less, I said softly. That's 3 already. Gu Yanchuan stubbered out the one he just lit and curved his eyes at me, watching me again. Seeing his smile, I froze too. It had been a long time since he smiled at me. Yeah, my heartbeat quickened. You caught me again. Behind us was the boisterous dinner party, people at the tables swaying drunkenly. Before us was a full moon. Tonight's moon should be the most perfect of the year. I often thought about looking for you, but I held back every time. After I found out about that matter, I couldn't do anything. I thought a lot. If I came back to you, if you encountered such a thing again, could I protect you? Could I help you pay off your debts? Could I give you the opportunities Joe Chun could give you? But you were right. Back then, I couldn't even manage myself properly, always looking ahead and behind. Gu Yanchuan smiled bitterly. I felt like killing Lin Siyao, but I still had family, and I still had you. You were right back then. If I killed him, what would happen to my mom? Could she bear to see 2 of her closest relatives go to jail? What would happen to you? Would you grieve for me? But he no longer has the chance to harm anyone now. Gu Yanchuan. I was stunned, thinking of news I heard a couple of years ago. Lin Jian was charged in court for suspected drug-facilitated sexual assault, money laundering and embezzlement. The evidence was conclusive. He was sentenced to death with a 2-year reprieve. I just didn't have time to feel happy when I heard the news. Was it you? Gu Yanchuan nodded, gaze firm. It was me. Yao, I can protect you now. Gu Yanchuan 6 years later can guarantee such things won't happen again. Guarantee you won't suffer anymore. We have a lot of money now. We never have to rent a tiny apartment again, only eat your favorite dish once a month. But I was 6 years late. 6 years. The scent of tobacco dissipated between us. In Gu Yanchuan's eyes, I could clearly see my own reflection. Are you still willing to come back to my side? My eyes stung. I opened my arms and hugged the person before me. We both had moments of helplessness in our youth. Yet after many years, we finally found completion. Yes. Tears gushed forth. I am willing. You're in love, aren't you? Kiao asked me. My face warmed. Is it that obvious? Kiao's voice was cold. Gu Yanchuan shared stomach-nourishing recipes with me again. Really enough, and can you 2 tone it down on set? I can barely handle all the paparazzi for sale, and I almost got kidnapped by CP fans all here to urge you to update. If you don't marry her, why flirt with her? Tens of thousands are waiting for updates and you just leave them hanging like that. Are you even human? You were the one who told me not to write before. As if you listened to me much. Kiao mercilessly left me with her back as she walked away. As she left, Gu Yanchuan happened to push the door open. After getting back together, he became extremely clingy, practically wanting to be in my line of sight 24/7. He looked at me without a word, then suddenly lowered his head. I instinctively tried to dodge. "What are you doing?" "PH ... Gu Yanchuan pulled back a little, then pinched my chin. "There's a kiss scene this afternoon. I'm practicing in advance." "You're lying, there isn't one." Not bothered about being exposed, he leaned in again. "Remembered wrong then. Must be tomorrow." Zhao was quite excited at first, but after accidentally bumping into Gu Yanchuan pinning me against any surface for kisses a few times later, she just wanted to escape in annoyance, wishing she could immediately go online and tell those CP fans urging for updates. "Your CP is real." But they're also way too lovey-dovey. Gu Yanchuan had only disdain for this. Endured for so long. Of course I have to make up for all of it. After wrapping up filming, I moved into Gu Yanchuan's place. We started living a lazy and shameless life. Previous CP fans. These two are attached to the hip on set. Our CP is real. Current CP fans. They even disappear together. Our CP is real. One night 2 months later, Gu Yanchuan and I, fully armed, were buying groceries and heading home when we encountered a familiar woman. She was dressed luxuriously. From afar, our eyes met. She opened her mouth, tears falling first. The things in her hands dropped to the ground, a tomato rolling some distance. Looking at the person before me, I thought my eyes were playing tricks on me. It was my mom. In a cafe, Gu Yanchuan and I sat silently with her. Finally, my mom handed me an envelope. "Your dad spent a few years in Vietnam. He passed away a while back, lung cancer. This is the money he left for you." I stared blankly at that thin envelope. For a long time, I thought if I heard news of them again, I'd be unmoved. I'd treat them as if they were dead, just as they abandoned me without hesitation back then. But the grievance and dejection still couldn't be hidden. After all, they were my blood relatives. My mom looked at me, then at Gu Yanchuan, and cautiously asked, "Yao Yao, how have you been lately?" "Mom ... missed you so much." Tears slid down my cheeks. I didn't answer. After a long silence, I looked at her and said slowly, word by word, "The last time we saw each other, you told me to come home for dinner on the weekend. But when I went home on the weekend, only a letter was left. And then I never found you again." After that, I told myself, I no longer had a mother. My mom looked like she was about to cry. "Yao, Yao, ... I didn't speak, got up, and left. The envelope lay lonely on the table. Gu Yanchuan said to my mum, "You ... rest assured. Under no circumstances will I ever give up on Lin Siyao again." The wind was cold that day. The Gu Yanchuan's chest was warm. Many people will gradually disappear from our lives, our memories, even closest relatives. But there will always be someone who stands forever amidst wind and snow. Only because you are here. Kiao called to urge me to work. I found 10,000 excuses to procrastinate. Finally, Zhou Chen took over the phone. "It's fine if you don't come." "Where's Gu Yanchuan? Didn't he want to terminate his contract? I've got my 100 Laoya team ready. Where is he?" "Just shut up." That was Kiao's voice. I was surprised. She talks to the boss like that? "Gu Yanchuan, is it only when you re-dating me that you not missing a screw or two?" It dawned on me belatedly. I made a surprised sound. Gu Yanchuan pinched my face. "Don't answer Zhou Chen's calls." I tried to break free from his grasp. "Still holding a grudge?" "Yes." Gu Yanchuan pinched my neck dangerously. "Still holding a grudge." That night, holding my waist, I finally learned just how much of a grudge Gu Yanchuan held. After being together for a while, there was still one important matter unresolved. One night, I was secretly typing away in the room when Gu Yanchuan caught me red-handed. "What are you writing?" I slammed my laptop shut. "Why do you walk so silently?" "Gu Yanchuan. Sorry. The carpet's too soft. Why are you so guilty?" "I've already read the first 8 chapters. When will chapter 9 be updated?" He deliberately lowered his voice, leaning close to my ear from behind to tease me. "Author, A Dream of Yanchuan." My face instantly flushed. "Don't call me that." "Okay, wifey. When are you planning to give me a status? After I finish writing, I took a deep breath. We'll go public. Alright. Gu Yanchuan hugged me. Then typed faster. What I didn't tell him was, I started a new story. Writing out our past story. Reuniting and falling in love again. All of it. Tens of thousands of words, written until my wrist felt like it had carpal tunnel syndrome. Had a fortune teller pick an auspicious date. Happily clicked send. Saw the comments and data skyrocket. And immediately threw myself into Gu Yanchuan's arms. We're going public. Okay. Gu Yanchuan snapped his fingers behind my ear, producing a ring. In the few seconds I was stunned. The ring slid onto my ring finger. He lifted my hand and kissed it solemnly. For my repost caption, how about this one, what do you think? My eyes welled up and I directly pounced on him onto the sofa. The server crashing. The post getting hundreds of thousands of reposts. All the noise and commotion had nothing to do with me. Because my whole world was right before my eyes.